We spent 3 days in Rome before a Mediterranean cruise.
In this video, we're going to share with you how we got to Rome, where we stayed, and all the tips and tricks that we learned to help make your pre-cruise stay a little more stress-free. Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Marshall.
And welcome back to the channel. If you're new here or you just haven't had a chance to subscribe, please do. You just click the button that says subscribe below, and it's completely free and it really helps our channel.
We booked this cruise about 18 months ago, and we were so excited for the first year. We didn't really think about all the logistics of flying over and getting here and being rested. So we really put some thought in the last few months to make this as stress-free as possible, as you said.
This was a long flight. It was about, I think, 9.5 hours, and I didn't sleep at all. It was a red-eye flight. I think you slept for about 45 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, maybe like 20 minutes and 25 minutes at two different times between movies, which is my go-to thing on long flights. I think we made a smart decision because we knew we weren't going to be sleeping all that much, and we also knew in our Airbnb we couldn't check in right away. So we were like, how are we going to try to get over jet lag as fast as possible? And we did some research and we found that there were sleeping pods, basically a hotel room for daytime use at the airport. So we did a thing, we booked it, and I'm glad we did.
Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, we had a 6-hour time zone change from Florida to Rome. Rome is 6 hours ahead of Eastern time in the US. So we had that 6-hour change, and then we had the red-eye flight where we didn't sleep. So yeah, we booked that. It's by HelloSky, and it's called an Air Room. And I think we booked it for 6 hours. And we literally got in there and crashed. But we had our own private room, our own private bathroom. They gave us all the towels and shampoo and conditioner and body wash and all that stuff. There was even a bidet.
Tells you we're in Europe.
Yes, we're in Europe. So we took a shower, we had a good long rest, and then by the time we woke up, and they also did a wake-up call, which was nice.
Yes.
And by the time we left the room, we were feeling refreshed and ready to go sightseeing and check into our Airbnb apartment.
Yes. Now, some particulars, that if you want to do this, realize that the price does fluctuate, but it's kind of like a hotel during the day. So it's like a hotel room price.
So we were ready to hop in a taxi, which,
yeah,
another tip. Oh my Lord. The afternoon on whatever day it was a Thursday at this point, the line to the taxis, there was a long, very, very long taxi line. We waited in line for, I think, 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Yes.
To get a taxi. So
yeah, so the tip there, which we're going to do next time, is line up a private car service. We made a mental note, and we actually used that later in our adventure. So stay tuned to see what we did there. Mm-hmm. But we learned our lesson in terms of taxis and transportation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah. But
we can pass on to you.
Yes.
So then we went to our Airbnb.
Yes.
And this was fortunately an apartment we had stayed at last year, and Massimo was our host. We've stayed here before. Like I said, it has everything we need, and the location is perfect.
Yes, we're in the Jewish Ghetto, the Jewish Quarter, but in addition to that, you're a 5-10 minute walk from some amazing areas that you'll see as we go through the next couple days.
Yeah, one of the reasons we like to stay in Airbnbs is, first of all, sometimes it's a comparable or sometimes even less expensive than a local hotel. Plus you get a kitchen. If you want to prepare your own meals, that's a good way to save money. And especially for us, at the very least, we eat breakfast typically in our Airbnb apartment. Plus I don't know. I just like having the extra space. If the Wi-Fi is good, and it's a more authentic experience. Yes. We could step right out of our apartment, and there are neighbors, and it's just everything's walkable from that apartment.
Absolutely. And if we're calling this travel day, day one in Rome, I think we were pretty smart again to manage what we wanted to do with the jet lag. Mm-hmm. So we'd gotten a decent amount of sleep, and we had an afternoon and evening. And the first thing we did was actually just go to a block away to the grocery store to load up on the essentials that we would need for the following 2 days. And then we just kept it low key that first night. We ate in, so we had a nice relaxing dinner, and then we went out in Rome at night. And that, just walking around for an hour, hour and a half in the nighttime is so special in Rome. The city, it comes alive, not just with people, but just the senses and the visuals. It's really spectacular at night, and we had a great time going around.
Yes, we happened upon some landmarks. We took pictures. We did a little photo shoot. We talked to artists who were out in the different piazzas, it's a square basically. Every kind of few blocks is another piazza, and that's where people go to hang out and eat. That was one of the things we learned, is that they have a completely different schedule of their life, their day, their eating schedule especially. So when we are ready to go to bed, right, in the States, they're just sitting down for dinner. They eat much, much later dinners than we do. And it's a multi-course, hang out, socialize, and we sort of got into that spirit a little bit.
We did, absolutely. It was wonderful for our United States pace to really slow it down and immerse ourselves. And I have to say, being in an Airbnb does help you kind of get into that flow.
Mm-hmm. So day one was really about managing our sleep, getting settled in Rome, and getting the whole feel for this amazing city once again. And then we slept all night, which was great. We were almost feeling like we were on that schedule.
I agree. I felt very refreshed waking up the next day, which was good because we had a pretty full day, or at least pretty full morning.
Yes. We had downloaded, this is another tip especially, is to download the offline Google Maps. So you had done that. We did that ahead of time. We also downloaded, if you go to Rick Steves' website, he has a lot of European tours, like audio tours. We downloaded any of the tours we thought we might want to do. We knew we wanted to do the Roman Forum. So he has a couple of great audio tours around that area.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we downloaded those ahead of time. Another tip is to make sure you bring your earbuds for the audio tour. And so that was on our phone. We had the map. We were ready to roll, but we needed a ticket for the Roman Forum. So we purchased that online, and we had our little QR code.
Right.
And we could go to any one of the entrances, but here's a tip. Once you get in, you better stay there, because if you leave and then you want to come back through, your ticket's already been authenticated. So there was a couple near us who had that issue.
Yeah, and it's important because there's really no food or no place to buy a drink inside the Roman Forum area.
So we went into the Roman Forum. We had Rick Steves in our ear showing us around the place, and it was just, we had been there last year, but it was such a different experience having the audio tour.
Absolutely. And as you're planning your day, if you do too many things in a row, you will get tired. Even though we were there in October, it was pretty warm. And last time we were there, we had done the Colosseum, and then we went into the Roman Forum, and we were kind of bedraggled through the Forum. Mm-hmm. This time we went there fresh, and it was so much more enjoyable and also hearing all the narrative in our ears as we were going to the places.
Yeah, and a couple of sites, they are doing construction or restoration work, so there were a couple of spots we couldn't get into the building, but we still had a very enjoyable time and much better understanding of that whole area and what it meant for Rome at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was time to eat.
Right. And we remembered that there were a number of eateries on the street close to the Colosseum. So we went out that entrance and had to go through the crowds, but you spied a nice lunch place.
Yes, it was perfect. There were seats out, there were a few tables outside, and then there were plenty of tables inside. And we just had a delicious lunch. And the serving size were more than adequate. And in fact, the couple beside us had ordered a pizza and didn't realize it was going to be so big, and they offered to share it with us. So that was nice. But yeah, it was a great lunch. And then we had a nice little stroll back to our apartment looking at, here's the thing about Rome. There are so many things to see. You see amazing statues and buildings and just ruins along the side of the road that you just stop and take multiple pictures along the way. So
yeah, it's special.
Yeah.
So again, managing our pre-cruise time, we didn't jam pack any specific day. So we relaxed a little bit in our Airbnb, had a snack, and then it became dinner time, and we waited a little bit longer than normal to be in the Italian way, and we headed just down the street, actually just down the alley. Less than a 5-minute walk took us to Nonna Betta's, a wonderful restaurant that we found an outside place to sit, and we were there for an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, it was delightful. Then we went for a little stroll. We took the long way home just to enjoy more of Rome at night and to hear all the families hanging out as we passed the restaurants. And yeah, it was a very special time. Then another full night's sleep. I think we were on now this time zone. So the next day we said, this is our last full day here. So we've got to get all our stuff in. And one of my bucket list places to visit was the Sistine Chapel. So we booked tickets to, it was a skip the line,
Right.
the Vatican Museum, and the last stop in the museum, all roads lead to the Sistine Chapel. So I was really excited to do that.
Waiting for that big event, we decided to keep it low key, but we wanted to get out to see more of the city. So we did the hop on, hop off bus. And we've had good success in other cities in Europe doing that to kind of get the lay of the city or what was around. And again, I think it was successful, but we hopped on the long route. So we were on it for a couple hours, kind of getting close to the suburbs in different directions. All good. Just keep tabs of what route you're on if you only have a shorter amount of time. And they do have shorter routes that go really just to the inner city, which clearly is better if you're just looking at the highlights of Rome. But I think we enjoyed taking the longer tour.
Yeah, we had time. I think the appointment for the Vatican Museum was 5 p.m. We had the latest appointment. So we really had all afternoon to hang out on the bus and see all the sights.
We looked at the map, got off at the hop off the stop that was closest to the Vatican, and then we took about a half-mile walk. Again, as you said, you can't go wrong. Although I think we did go wrong.
We definitely went wrong. We got caught up in the line to get into St. Peter's Cathedral. We knew a basilica.
Yes.
Yeah, St. Peter's Basilica. We got caught up in that line. I think there must have been 25, 30,000 people. There were police officers, they did a bag check, and we thought that we had to get into this line to go around. St. Peter's to get to the Vatican Museum, but we didn't really need to get in that line, but we didn't know that at the time. So we just went along with the other 30,000 friends of ours. And then we realized this is not the right place to be. When we found the right line, it was a very short line to hop right into the museum.
Yes. And our friend Rick Steves comes back. We had an audio tour to go through the Vatican Museum.
But the artwork, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Amazing. And then we saw Raphael's work.
Right.
His work is phenomenal. The colors were so vibrant and everything was so beautiful, and we were primed and ready to see the Sistine Chapel. And again, how many hundreds of our other companions were there?
If not thousands.
In the Sistine Chapel. It was standing room only.
Yeah, I have to say, when I first walked in, I was a little overwhelmed by the crowd and the noise, but they don't usher you out, at any set time, although they kind of limit you going in. But once you're there, you can spend as much time as possible. And even though we were kind of shoulder to shoulder many times, over 10 or 15 minutes, the grandeur of Michelangelo's work it really hit home. So I recommend spending as much time as you can in that chapel to really appreciate it.
And then when we got to the back, there was a bench to sit on. So as part of the tour, there's also like a map of what each scene is on the ceiling. So that was really helpful too.
Yes.
So then we left the Vatican Museum and it was time for dinner.
It was time for dinner.
A late dinner, like 8 something.
Yes. Now, I'm going to do one other tip. We were pretty far away, and the idea of walking another 3 miles to get back to our home base just did not seem appealing. But I will say that there are taxi stands, and you can hail taxis. And we were fortunate enough, maybe 10 minutes into our walk, there was a taxi, luckily, that was, just kind of driving by, that was looking for a passenger, and we hailed that taxi.
That was a lucky find.
It was.
So then to dinner.
Yes.
We went back to our Jewish quarter that we love, and we ate at Ghetto Milky. Now Ghetto, because it is a real, authentic Jewish kosher restaurant, series of restaurants. So they have one that's just meat, they have one that serves dairy and fish with no meat, and then there were 2 others.
Well, it was like a deli and a bakery.
Yeah, deli and a bakery. So we ate at the Milky one because we don't eat meat anyway, but we do eat fish and cheese products. So we had a delicious meal. We did a price fix situation.
Yeah, we really wanted to eat the true Italian way with, was it 5 or 6 courses?
5, yeah.
And and the best way to do that was really just to look at the price fix menu. They had 3 options, and we chose 2 different ones. So all told, we got to sample 10 different plates during our 2.5 hour relaxed dinner out in the middle of the street.
It was perfect. Perfect way to spend our last night in Rome.
Yes.
Then it was to bed, and the next morning we were slated to get on Odyssey of the Seas in Civitavecchia, which is about, would you say, an hour and 10 minutes from our apartment in Rome? So we needed to navigate transportation. We had a few options. We could do a taxi over to the train station and then do a train and over to Civitavecchia, and then from there we could take like a shuttle to get to the port, to get to the ship. But that would be handling luggage multiple times, possibly missing a train and having to wait another half hour for the next one. And My level of stress that I can handle and manage is quite small. Let's just be honest.
Well, I mean, why get stressed whether you have a
Yeah.
large bucket or a small bucket
Yeah.
of stress? You are heading out on a cruise.
Yeah.
Why be completely stressed when you get there?
But we did talk to some cruisers when we got on board, and they had done the whole train and whatever, and it was a stressful situation. So I think we made a decision that was really good for us. Do you want to
Yeah,
tell us?
we did some quick research, and taxis are pretty much the same price as private car services. So we just felt that the less stressful way is to contact a car service. Actually, it was just the day before. Make arrangements. We got the name of the driver, where we were going to meet the driver in the closest, turnaround to our Airbnb. And it was perfect because he actually communicated a couple times during the run-up of meeting him, and it was like clockwork.
We checked out of our Airbnb on time. We just wheeled our suitcases to the end of the alley, and there he was with a sign, and the limo service was right there. And he took our suitcases, we got in the car, and our next stop was the ship.
Yeah, did I say clockwork?
You said clockwork.
It was more like a stopwatch. This guy went fast.
Yeah.
Like grabbing each other.
No time.
I mean, the speed limit on the highway was 80. Well, I mean, it was higher kilometers, but it was approximately 80 miles per hour. And he was legitimately doing 90 to 95 a lot.
I dug my claws into your hand a couple of times.
Yeah, so I just needed to refrain or change it from, to stopwatch. He was definitely cruising.
Yeah. So yeah, then we stepped onto the ship and we found our room right away. And if you haven't seen our stateroom tour, we just posted it recently. So we will share the link here on the side. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions about our stay in Rome or the cost of anything. We have receipts, so let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Take care.